Hello and welcome to the Print Reporter Direct. I am Prasad Nichanmetla. I am the Print's Hyderabad correspondent covering Andhra Pradesh and Telangana. The two Telugu states are going to vote the same day, this time in the general elections on 13th May. In addition, Andhra Pradesh voters are also going to elect their next state government at the same time. AP is witnessing a fierce contest between the ruling YSRCP and the TDP-led alliance with Pawan Kalyan's Jana Sena and the BJP. The TDP, JSP, and BJP was a winning combine in the 2014 polls when the state was freshly split from Telangana. While JSP did not contest that time, the TDP-BJP alliance managed to win over 100 out of the 175 assembly seats and form the government. However, when the three parties went separate ways in 2019, the TDP lost, the JSP could win only one seat, with Pawan Kalyan himself losing from two assembly seats that he contested from, Gajubaka and Bhimavaram. The BJP received less than 1% vote and drew a blank, both in Assembly and Lok Sabha. Now, this time, the trio posing a major challenge, Jagan, as the Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister is popularly known, is not budging from his target of why not 175, meaning 175 out of 175 assembly seats. And then he also has targeted all the 25 Lok Sabha seats. Last time, the YSRCP won 151 assembly seats and 22 Lok Sabha segments. Um, the run-up to the elections this time saw some major developments like the arrest of former CM Chandrababu Naidu in the skill development scam case, the alleged scam, when he was the CM of the state from 2014 to 19. Besides, the entry of Jagan's sister, Y. Sharmila, has made the AP poll arena more interesting. She is the Congress candidate from Kadapa Lok Sabha, where she is challenging her elder brother Jagan's might on YSR home turf. It has to be seen if Sharmila would help the Congress prospects to revive in the state. Meanwhile, in Telangana, K. Chandrashekar Rao's BRS is facing an uphill task in the Lok Sabha polls after losing several MPs and a few MLAs, and most of them to the Congress. Surveys also paint a bleak picture for the two-term rule party, projecting only two seats. The contest for the 17 Lok Sabha seats in Telangana appears to be centered majorly between the Congress, which gained power 5 months back, and the BJP, which is banking on the Ram Mandir issue and Modi's charisma. I am today joined by my colleague from New Delhi, Vandana, who is here for the election coverage. We'll together taking some of the questions of our subscribers. First, we have a question from Mr. Jayashankar Balasubramanian, who asks that along with Odisha, Sikkim, and Arunachal Pradesh, there are both state and Lok Sabha elections now. Is there a sense of voting differently from the state and national elections? Coming to Andhra Pradesh, where the simultaneous polls have been happening from 1999, we see a trend of electors voting the same way that they do in assembly polls. The corresponding results are also seen in the Lok Sabha polls. Like if we take the previous polls in 2019, the YSRCP won 151 seats in a landslide and also managed to win 22 out of the 25 Lok Sabha seats. And in 2014 also, the TDP BJP combined won most of the Lok Sabha seats and also gained power. The same happened during when the state was united, Andhra Pradesh. But in Telangana, where the assembly elections were a few months apart, the national people seems to be calculating some of the national issues and also national figures like Modi are also coming into picture. Like last time, having won the 2018 assembly elections, A few months later, in 2019 general election, the TRS tally went down by 2. It could only manage 9 seats compared to the 11 earlier. Mr. Jaishankar also has another question. Will the choice of capital have a significant impact on the outcome? Maybe Vandana can answer this.
Yeah, happy to have. Hi, I'm Vandana. I'm here to cover the elections here and kind of provide some extra support for Prasad while he tackles two states. A couple of questions on the issue of the capital city. So just to kind of lay the context, in Andhra Pradesh, when the TDP came to power, they planned to make Amaravati the main capital of the state. That was the goal, and lots of finances and resources were poured into that. When the YSRCP came to power in 2019, the Jagan and the YSRCP decided to have a 3-capital plan where they would decentralize capitals across the state. So you have a legislative capital in Amaravati, an executive capital in Vizag, where Jagan plans on wants to set up, and a judicial capital in Kurnool. Now, I spent some time traveling across from Amaravati and Vizag, and the thing is, in Amaravati, there's a sense of upset because the entire idea of the capital was created with farmers pooling in land over 35,000 acres of prime agricultural land was sort of pooled into this capital project to help create this capital of Naidu's dreams. And over the last 5 years, that's kind of fallen to the wayside. There's not much happening there. So the farmers of Amaravati are disappointed and unhappy that, the land that they really were hoping would rise in commercial value is being part of this ambitious new capital isn't really taking off. On the other hand, in Visakhapatnam has been a city that's always been sort of thriving. It's a port city. There's a lot happening there. There's a naval base there. It's always kind of been, even in the undivided state of Andhra Pradesh, was sort of a number 2 to Hyderabad. But now Vizag is kind of coming into its own as its own capital. So there are lots of people in Vizag who feel like the city is finally getting its due if it becomes this, executive capital, the seat of the government. But there are also concerns within Vizag. What I noticed is that it's sort of stratified across both class and region. I think there are lots of people who are happy that the city is finally getting its due. They feel like it's always had the existing infrastructure to kind of support this kind of project and should have been the capital from the very start. But the thing is, Andhra is a long state, so Vizag isn't necessarily very well connected to the rest of the state. Amaravati, on the other hand, is more central. Kurnool is a little further south, in Rayalaseema. So in Vizag, so it kind of makes it logistically hard for Vizag to be a capital. But there are people there who feel like it should be. At the same time, there are the poorer sections of society are worried that as any natural city expands and urbanizes, they're worried that they'll be pushed to the margins or that their needs will not be met while the city focuses on like real estate development and kind of this other boom. And similarly, it's also kind of a retirement city. So similarly, you also have residents who've lived there for decades who feel like, the city's changing under their eyes and typical problems of traffic, etc., coming up. So when I was traveling, I found that in Amaravati, the capital issue actually has a lot more political dividend because people are much more unhappy that the Jagan's government, the YSRCP, is not really focusing on Amaravati. Whereas if they vote the TDP into power, the TDP will once again refocus on Amaravati as the capital and help them build that city of dreams. Whereas in Vizag, people are much happier that their city is kind of being given the due. However, I would say that things are split across the line. It's not necessary for the YSRCP's entire plan is that with 3 capitals, you decentralize power, but you also increase development across the state. And that when you have a capital in a certain area, it'll automatically bring development around that. But then voters are sort of split around this idea because they feel like it's not necessary for a city to be a capital to, for it to develop. So this is kind of like the intricacies of this capital chaos that's kind of happening in Andhra Pradesh. And that's what I noticed while traveling across the last 3 weeks. Anything you'd like to add, Prasad? Anything I might have missed?
Yeah, I think you covered it also. We'll take the next question, from Mr. Rajesh Lakka, who uh, says, "How will the center support Andhra with capital and development?" Mr. Narendra Modi was campaigning in Rajahmundry and other places where he is assuring the people of the state of a double engine sarkar, that if BJP is elected at the center and the TDP alliance here, they would be getting the best of the both governments. And coming to the support, especially to the capital during the first, from 2014 to 19, as far as I remember, the center gave some 2,500 crore as its support to the capital Amaravati. But later there is, no such information. And anyway, after the Jagan came to power in 2019, the capital project itself was completely kind of shelved.
All
So then, yeah. So now it has to be seen, like who will be coming to power and what is the kind of approach they would take is something that we have to, wait and watch after the elections.
And sorry, just wanted to add what the TDP has been saying all this while also, right, is that they're aligning with the BJP because they feel like Andhra's kind of gotten into such a big debt trap that they need central government support to help development across the state. So that's something that they've been saying is the political motive behind aligning with the BJP.
Yeah. The next question is from Mr. Siva Sangha. What is mood of people in Andhra for the assembly elections? As Jagan Reddy is banking on the schemes he delivered, Chandrababu Naidu is offering more and better schemes this time. Wouldn't this cause and split in the votes of this scheme taking people? Yeah, that is something, yeah, we have to see like if the beneficiaries of Jagan would remain loyal to him because his manifesto has steered clear of populism and he's only promising to continue every welfare measure that is already there. And Andhra Pradesh, we can say, is at the top of in this welfare governance. For example, like they are giving like rupees 3,000 pension for the needy, like old age and widows, which is the highest in the country already. And now Naidu is promising to take it up further to 4,000 rupees per month. So that is actually
And has lowered
interesting.
the age. And has also lowered the age from when you can start receiving
Yeah.
pension.
Yeah, and for minorities and all that, he's promising pensions at like from 50 years.
50.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that is people. But if you ask me what is weighing on the minds of the people as they go to elections, welfare is something both Jagan and Chandrababu Naidu are promising. In fact, Chandrababu Naidu is promising more, like he's promising free cylinders, gas cylinders, free RTC travel for women, and something more, many things more. So the debate actually, the main issue that I came across, and I'm sure Vandana would have also, while I was traveling in different regions of Andhra Pradesh, is this debate of welfare versus development. Nobody is complaining on welfare front. They are very happy with Jagan. They seem to be, most of them at least. But like when I talk to youth, educated, and upper middle classes, these people have a major complaint with Jagan, who say that development has stalled. The industries, investments are not like what it used to be earlier for a sunrise state investment destination like Andhra Pradesh, even before the split. So I think the major poll issue is going to be this welfare versus development that we are seeing in Andhra Pradesh. That is the topic. And
Yeah.
next question is from Mr. Piyush Agarwal. Just curious about how elections are fought on the ground. Yeah, Vandana, maybe. I don't know what
This
exactly
is
the question is. Like, like the ground, how the campaigning is done, or
Yeah, I
sorry.
mean, it was, I think Andhra was also a very interesting place to be covering the elections because for me, I just felt like things are so polarized in this state far more than in other states. If you go to a village, you'll find it, you'll find people who are staunchly on one side and people who are completely on the other side. Everyone has very, very strong opinions here, and things are actually quite polarized, both online and offline. There's this crazy social media battle that's happening between the YSRCP and the TDP. There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of engagement that's going on, a lot of memes and it's kind of deep fakes, and also all that kind of stuff is also happening. But it's also seems to be translating on ground as well. There's been quite hectic campaigning, and it's picked up in the last couple of weeks. I'm actually coming to you right now from Vijayawada, and while I was entering the city, some of the roads were blocked because it's been raining, and some of the roads are waterlogged. But there was also a political rally that was going on, and so there is a lot of general action that's been happening. I mean, it is quite electric. I kind of followed the chief minister's wife, Bharti Reddy, last week while she was campaigning for her husband, Jagan, in their family stronghold of Pulivendula and Kadapa. And she was doing a door-to-door campaign in a couple of villages, and it was quite interesting because she set off super early in the morning, and then it would get too hot, because that's the other thing, there's a massive heat wave through Andhra. So I know even Prasad was dealing with this. It's like really, really difficult to report or to like be out in the heat, but people are doing it there. And so she basically set out in the morning, take an afternoon break, and then get back to it in the evening. And just the amount of energy, people coming out and seeing her, or like people wanting to be involved, it's quite there is a lot of energy in the air. But I would say that it's also it's getting to be, in my opinion, fairly dirty fight between both sides, because things are so polarized, and because each government has had their own term. I mean, each party's had its own term, the TDP and then the YSRCP. And so now it's really like who gets to kind of come back to power and resurrect whatever plans, or return to whatever plans that they had for the state. Because that's the other thing. Andhra is a brand new state. It's only been here for, it's technically existed for 10 years, but the aspirations and the underlying politics are much, much, much older than these 10 years. So it's been quite interesting for me, who's sort of been parachuted in, to experience the way that things are happening in Andhra. That there's also like, because it's a new state, there isn't as much data that's available. So that's also an issue. You only have like 2 points of reference. So it is very emotionally driven. It is very polarized. People are, are at each other's throats. The battle lines have been very clearly drawn. So yeah, this is just some examples from the ground that I can think of. Anything you'd like to add, Prasad?
Uh, just a quick line. If you're talking about strategy, like how elections are fought, I think the key to winning elections in Andhra lies in the caste consolidation. Like caste is the major factor in Andhra, and I'll say
Yeah,
one of the reasons why the communal
absolutely.
politics have not gained ground in Andhra is because the relevance or the importance, the continuing importance of the significance of caste politics. So every party has its own core vote bank, which is connected to some caste groups like Kammas,
Yeah.
Reddis, I mean Christians, SCs, like this. So the consolidation of these votes would swing the balance uh, towards either side. Um, Another question we have is from Mr. Chiranjit Banerjee. Though Naidu is the official partner of BJP, Jagan Reddy remains ambivalent. What's the likely end game? Um, yeah, if we notice the election rallies of Mr. Modi and Jagan, they have not been targeting each other directly. Mr. Modi is targeting YSRCP government, YSRCP ministers, but he hardly has even mentioned Jagan's name in all these rallies till now. And the same case with
Yeah.
Jagan. Jagan has been targeting, and naturally, like Chandrababu Naidu and Pawan Kalyan, but he also is not
Yeah.
going after Modi. So that is an interesting scenario because if you see the last 5 years, what happened is Jagan has been a more reliable partner, a friend for the central Modi government than, in fact, some of the NDA allies. He came to the rescue of the center
Including Naidu.
on the major, many controversial bills also, Jagan. And he, in fact, wrote to some of the CMs like Hemant Soren during the pandemic when the opposition CMs tried to belittle Modi. So it was that kind of, and in fact, one of the joint rallies, I mean, on a public stage in, if I remember correct, in 2022 in Rajahmundry, Jagan, in presence of Modi, said that his relation with him goes beyond the parties and political concerns. So it's actually interesting that after all this, the BJP has allied with the TDP, which actually
With
deserted it in the 2018. So we have to see like how it turns out the equation based on the poll results.
Yeah, whereas Naidu has openly badmouthed the Prime Minister way more. Actually,
Yes.
and Modi's never really said anything good about Jagan, but he's never said anything bad about him either, which is so rare given the fact that he's a chief minister not from the BJP. Otherwise, all other chief ministers from opposition parties have been fair game for the Prime Minister. So I think that he might have a soft, I think it's quite interesting.
Mhm. We have the next question from Mr. Aditya Chandra. Do you think post Lok Sabha and Vidhan Sabha election results, if you see YSRCP falling short of majority in Assembly and BJP falling short of majority in Lok Sabha, can they both come together? Um, See, in 2019, these two parties were not allies. There was no full alliance, but still BJP and the YSRCP, I mean, YSRCP helped BJP on for many reasons, like I just mentioned. So, but it has to be seen. I mean, we cannot really say how the political scenario would be. That is something we have to wait and watch. Uh, the next
Uh,
question is from, yeah, would you like to add something? Vandana?
no, we have some questions coming in live.
Yeah,
There's one from Piyush Agarwal on the minority vote,
yes.
Prasad, and how both TDP and YSRCP seem to be going after the minority vote. Do you want to talk to us about that?
Minorities constitute about over 9% in Andhra Pradesh. Their votes are especially significant in Rayalaseema urban
Yeah.
areas. Uh, in many segments, I think they matter so much that the candidates from both parties are Muslims, like in Karnool and some parts of Nellore, Guntur. There is one assembly segment in Guntur which has been selecting a Muslim since like last several decades. So one of the reasons Jagan would not have anyway preferred going along with BJP is his very strong minority vote bank. At least say their own analysis is 60 to 70% is with them. And one of Jagan's political aide was telling me that after they have formalized the alliance, the TDP and BJP, that went up again further by another 10-15%. So
Yeah.
minority vote base is that strong. That is why uh, Chandrababu Naidu is also making a large effort to keep them content in the sense he is assuring them about this reservations, 4% reservations, which BJP has been silent in Andhra Pradesh, but in Telangana, the neighboring Telangana, which the Andhra voters keenly observe, here it is promising to abolish it, the 4% reservation. So that is something tricky and difficult situation that Naidu is dealing with, given again the significant minority vote here.
Mm. But what the TDP keeps saying is that they're not so worried about alienating the minority vote base because they've allied with the BJP in the past and they've still been able to keep that. So I think they're banking on that same Naidu factor, the TDP factor, to kind of keep the minority vote bank with them.
Yeah, right. There's another question. I think this is on Telangana. Is there any anti-incumbency against the Congress in Telangana? The Revant government has took power like just 5 months back, like about 150 days. Though their six guarantees have this time frame of 100 days. When we talk to people in Telangana, they are willing to give Revant Reddy some more time. They are saying it might not be possible for someone to deliver everything within 100 days, or for that matter, even 6 months. So I think there's no, perceptible anti-incumbency as such in Telangana against Congress. It's just like not even 6 months. So I think Revant Reddy is a bit comfortable on that. aspect. Vandana, is there any other question?
No, I think we've tackled everything. But what I actually wanted to ask you also, whether we have you, what sets this election apart from all of the others that you've covered in Andhra and Telangana?
See, this time when I was covering the elections in 2014 and 19, I could sense at least like who is going to win. In fact, I posted on social media indicating that who would be the winner, and I mean, thankfully the
Right.
prediction came true. But this time, I'm not willing to stick
You were
to the
right.
head count. Yeah, so this time I don't want to do that because
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a very tough fight, and maybe it will
It's
go down to the wire. So let's see, because
yeah,
people are happy with welfare, but at the same time they have this complaint of opportunities going down, the incomes going down. So will they still?
anxiety over employment, economic anxiety.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So that's why, in fact, one of the story I did from traveling both in Rayalaseema and coastal Andhra, like the perceptible resentment among the educated youth over this perceived lack of jobs, both in government and private sector. Um,
Yeah. No, that's something that I've also really noticed because the fight just seems so close. It's really hard to tell, who's going to come out on top. It's easier to tell, I feel like, across if you focus on certain areas of Andhra. The other thing that I've noticed is that there does seem to be some fear on the ground. I think a lot of people are worried about losing access to welfare schemes. And that seems to be the defining thing that I've been noticing from whether or not whichever government comes to power, they want to continue to be able to get access to welfare. I think we have another question.
there's a follow-up question from Mr. Jaishankar, I think, or saying he has the party group that won at the center, won the state too, voting in combined election in Andhra. I think you answered it, but anyway, whoever is winning the assembly elections, we are also winning majority of the Lok Sabha seats here. So that has been the trend for last few decades here. So when YSRCP was there, was the chief minister for two terms in 2004 and 2009. He, in fact, was instrumental in the Congress winning around 30 seats in combined Andhra Pradesh, was actually the pillar for both UPA 1 and UPA 2 governments. So the same, and when in 2014, majority of the seats were won by BJP, and the BJP won at the center. But 2019 was a bit different. If you are only asking the question from center and state view, 2019 polls, the YSRCP won here, but at the center, the BJP came to retain power.
We have a question from Piyush Agarwal asking if the caste equation will ever disappear from elections in India. I mean, I don't think so, but Prasad, maybe.
Uh, I think there's this saying in Hindi like "जो जाति नहीं है उसी को जात बोलते हैं." I think that would stay relevant for
Summarize
many
it,
more
yeah.
decades to come. Like I just mentioned that the key to winning a AP elections is caste combination. So the
Completely,
significance
yeah.
is only increasing and not waning. And I don't see any chance, at least in next one decade, if not two
Yeah.
decades.
Yeah. No, and especially in Andhra, it's just completely, there are very, very clear-cut divisions between the three major parties in the fray and who supports them or who their vote base is. And I feel like as long as that exists from the ground up, politics will also encourage it and play to it rather. So I don't I don't think that's going to really change.
I don't know if I've covered this question already. Amaravati as a capital economy didn't take off as originally projected. What do you think will be the impact of
Hmm.
this in the electoral prospect? I think we largely covered in our previous question, but in case Vandana,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, I mean, See, what I spent time with several farmers actually, and the key to remember here is that this is highly fertile agricultural land that was kind of taken into the development of the city, and so these farmers don't really see it is farmland anymore. It is a commercial investment for them, because had the city come up the way that it was supposed to, in the way that Naidu promised that it would, bringing in, it was this really ambitious plan. It would have the commercial value of that land would have really skyrocketed, because you would have had prime property right off of a ring road, or right by a high court, or right by the secretariat. So I think that there's that's something that people are really upset about. It's something that they've also gone to court over. So they've basically dug their heels in for a long battle. So here, there are, in several of the villages here, the 29 villages that were meant to be part of Amaravati, there's actually like a permanent protest going on, where people are basically saying one state, one capital, and it's always like, it's constantly going on. There's always someone stationed there who's campaigning for this. So that's something that the people of Amaravati want. And so it's very clear where their votes lie, because the key to their own aspirations, I think, lie with that party. So that's kind of my sense of it.
I'll
Yeah.
just add a I'll just add a
So
line to that. See, the protests have been ongoing since Jagan made that controversial plan public in December 2019. But these protests have been limited to those group of 30 villages. Outside that, people don't seem to be very much bothered about their anguish or the court cases and all that. What is worrying them
yeah,
is this situation where they cannot firmly say what their capital is. And that is the result of this three
yeah,
capital plan of Jagan. Though
it's
controversial, the problem is
confusing.
he
Yeah,
could not take it
yeah,
forward given the court cases and other things. He every 6 months he has been saying that I'll be working from Vizag in the past 3 4 years.
Isaac.
Every frequently he would say that, but still he would be operating from his camp office near Vijayawada. So
Mm,
that has led to some
Vijay.
kind of annoyance among the public. So it's high time they think that they want a capital like either Vizag or
Yeah,
Amaravati.
yeah,
But things should firmly shape up for them for the development to take place. This whole thing
yeah. And
really
uh,
has stalled the development everywhere. The plan was to decentralize development, but they say there is no development anywhere because of this controversial plan or confusion that prevailing out of it.
Yeah, and I just wanted to quickly add to that. There's also a sense. So, I mean, the proponents, the people who support this three capital plan, they say that, if you have three capitals, then it actually, increases opportunities for linking across the state, cross cultural exchange. People will travel, etc. But then you also have the other side that says that anyway, so many is anyway all of this is power so inaccessible to people, right? You have to travel for so long to be able to go to the court. You have to travel for so long to be able to like meet the bureaucracy. So people are worried that this three capital plan will actually make things even more inaccessible to them, rather than just having one thing, I mean, all arms of the government functioning from one place. We have another question on first time voters and what they might be, what they're looking at. I can just give my experience, or my experience reporting on this. I think a lot of people, especially first time voters who have come of age in the last 5 years, are quite happy with some of the wellness schemes. For example, Amaravati, where which basically transfers money directly into a mother's account for one child in the household to be able to go to school, and even the Nadu program, which is improving education infrastructures. Even though those, there seems to be some amount of traction for that, but I would say that there is some amount of general economic anxiety in the state, or because young people still want to kind of leave and like look for job, or worried about finding jobs in Andhra Pradesh, and prefer to set their sights, in Kolkata, or Hyderabad, or Bangalore, or Chennai. That's sort of what I've noticed.
That is in
Prasad?
fact the story that I did from Guntur
Yeah.
and Kadapa. Like the question is among the first voters is why do they have to look for a job in Hyderabad or Bangalore? Their reference to Hyderabad is why Hyderabad even 10 years after the split. Hyderabad is not
Yeah.
our capital, then why are we still forced to go to Hyderabad for jobs? So the major issue weighing on their minds, the first time voters, is jobs, opportunities, is their priority. I think we are running short of time, so I think we'll end it here. But thanks a lot to our subscribers for joining, and thanks a lot for your questions.